Staying with a man through hard times does not make you his ride or die. It does not make you his home that he always comes back to. It does not make you God's strongest soldier, whatever you guys say. It makes you his biggest dummy.
According to her, if you stand by your husband during hard times, you're not loyal. She just told you you're not loyal. She says you are just dumb. Imagine. That's the kind of wisdom kind of floating around the TikTok world, the social media, YouTube, and so on right now. We hear a version of this kind of thing happening so often. But here's the problem: it's poison. And if you drink it, your marriage won't survive. And I can tell you, because I've seen so many marriages that have gone down this path to some degree or something like this. And I can tell you today, they are in the graveyard of marriages. Not to mention that what she just said is diabolical. Don't don't be deceived by the likes of this woman, as you will see as we continue to unpack her diatribe or her wisdom. Can I just give you the lens through which I'm seeing this? Someone is someone who I would describe as having man hurt. It's either her husband, some past romantic relationship, or her dad. It's gonna come through. You're gonna hear more of what she's has to say, and I would love to hear if you would conclude or at least come to a conclusion like what I've just stated. And she continued, if you thought she was done, she was just getting started. Let's check out more of what she had to say.
The thought process of staying with a man while he's at his worst was literally constructed by men.
Right. Because God didn't say in Ecclesiastes 4, verses 9 and 10 that two are better than one. And here's what God stated in the Bible: if either one of them falls, one can help the other up. And it went on to talk about woe be it unto that person if they fall by themselves. Who is there to pick them up? In marriage, you're going to have at times where one might fall. And isn't that what marriage is all about? Isn't that what teams do? You pick one another up. I remember a time in our relationship. I've been married for 40 years and since 1985. And I remember at one time where I was the one, because of my health issue, I could not work for a season. I truly could not, because I had a major surgery. Imagine if my wife had this mindset, because she had to come and she had to kind of pick me up and hold everything up while I recovered. There was a time also in the relationship when the reverse also took place. But I want to stay on the premise of where she's at, because I remember also when I was first beginning my business and I left my job that I had a stable income, and for a season, for a good portion of a year plus, I had a very little income. And thank God my wife was actually bringing in majority of the income at that time. What if she thought like this woman did? I don't know if we would, I mean, I can tell you we would not have lasted 40 years. And here we are still going on. Thank God that she did not have this kind of mindset. When she says it's this is some kind of um that this is a construct by men. She thinks that apparently it was some secret men's committee in the basement drafting loyalty contracts. In her mind, no, 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 my friend. Can I tell you, dear wife? This is God who implemented and instituted marriage, who knows more than anyone does, is saying, this is how we do. We bear with one another. We serve one another. We are patient with one another. We lift up one another. Throughout the scripture, it says that. And that's why I said this is diabolical. Now, let's watch the part where she makes marriage sound like Wall Street. Let's check this out.
I can tell you point blank, period. Men will not respect you. You will show how little self worth you have because straight up, show me the man who's standing beside you. I can show you how much or how little you have self respect. And yes, he'll want you to stay around because women are currency to men.
Can I call her Miss Financial Guru? She mentioned the word currency? Really? So my wife saying thank you after I told her, or actually helped around the house and doing some things that she normally does, and I stepped in and do those things, and basically she's handing me a $20 bill. I've got news for you. Marriage isn't an exchange rate system. Respect and loyalty aren't currency. Sorry to burst your bubble, dear wife. Respect and loyalty and patience and serving one another, these aren't currency. They're the glue God designed to hold marriage together. And is it any wonder we have this kind of statistics around marriage today, where everything that is not bring convenient, if there's some kind of sacrifice and have to maybe suffering, if we call it that, we don't want to put up with those things. I remember learning about even marriage, why Jesus talked about the idea of how the basis of what God, I mean, through Moses gave about divorce. And he said, at the time people were divorcing for any reason. So the wife burned the toast, she burned, whatever. She didn't wash her clothes properly. She didn't cook properly at that time. A divorce could happen. And so they asked him the question, and then Jesus says, no, no, God intended from the beginning to be that way. God did not intend for you to get married and divorced. That's not God's intention. But because of the hardness of the heart, someone like this given advice, and people begin to believe that. And for convenience and not wanting to put up the work and to at times make sacrifices, oh, it's just easier to divorce. It's not really, right? And that's why even I think there's one country I know right now. There might be others that I don't know of, but the only one that I know of right now that comes to mind is in the Philippines, where you cannot get divorced. What if she lived there? What if that was the way other countries operated? Now, I'm not saying that I agree, because there are times I believe that a divorce might be the thing, because I think the Bible gives very clear and specific reason why a divorce is warranted. For example, if infidelity occurs, the Bible clearly says for that reason, you don't have to, but it says you can. It also says abandonment. If someone decides to leave the marriage, then a divorce can occur as well. But God makes sure he limited the reason, because why? Marriage is that one institution that parallels or mirrors the relationship that Jesus had with his people, the church. That's it. And Jesus does not divorce from his church, his people. He remained steadfast, and he wants marriage to reflect that. And by the way, if this is your first time here, I'm Kingsley Grant, a licensed marriage and family therapist, certified relationship coach, and a follower of Jesus. I make videos that cut through the noise and bring you biblical truth for building a happier marriage. And if you want more of that, I want to ask you to now hit subscribe and tap the like button as well. And make sure, as we're going through this, if you have a comment, please comment below. And listen, at the end of this video, I've got a free gift for you. My booklet, Reconnect, a quick guide for wives who feel like they're doing it all. It'll put you on the, and I'll also put you on the wait list for my upcoming webinar. And you don't want to miss that. So I want to encourage you to go to buildyourhappiermarriage.com/waitlist, get the booklet, and you'll also be on the waitlist to be updated on my upcoming webinar and my 6 week biblical and evidence-based coaching journey. So with that said, let's keep going. So here's where now she claims husbands basically basically suck the life. I mean, is she upset about I mean, she just has an axe to grind. It just sounds to me. Deep man hurt. Just hear what she had to say. She says that husbands basically suck the life out of their wives. Let's watch this.
Having him around you only siphons your energy. You're going to be putting more energy towards that man, specifically if he's in hard times. And men know that women have this maternal instinct, this, Barbara the Builder, as Shira 7 says, instinct to want to just fix them. Don't do that. Don't fix them. That's on them. They need to find their masculinity and go ahead and fix themselves.
Please, may I say, I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's almost like, what else are you going to do when you hear this kind of diatribe? It saddens my heart to see someone could be so deeply hurt. But it's kind of, I have to laugh because I'm thinking, who does this? Who does this to say things like, having you around benefits him, so it doesn't benefit her? Isn't this a two-way street? Is it just a man? I mean, there are again, like I said, we hear some deep hurts here. So let's be honest. Yes, I want to say some wives do over function. I've seen that working in this industry for almost over 2 decades. I've heard the stories. I've seen the enabling that takes place. I see that. And I address that in when I do my counseling or my coaching. I do help to hold the mirror up and show a wife and sometimes a husband when there's enabling taking place or codependency is taking place. So some wives do overfunction and they try to fix everything for their man. I can tell you how many times I've heard a wife said to me that in her mind it's easier just to go ahead and do it because I just can't to avoid the conflict. I can't take the fight, and she go ahead and do that, only making that to be the way where the husband say, "Okay, you're gonna do it. I'm gonna do it myself. I'm gonna sit back and just let you do it." But guess what? That's not stupid, right? That's called love. That's called working together to live at peace with all men. And love sacrifices, love supports, love encourages. The problem isn't that wives are helping husbands. The problem is when husbands don't return the love. And sometimes they don't. The Bible calls husbands to love their wives, right? And for wives to respect their husbands. It's a two-way street, but we've got to deposit in each other's lives. So, dear wife, the answer isn't don't help your husband. The answer is don't do his job for him. Encourage him to step up. Don't check out of the marriage altogether. And there are ways to do that in a manner where the husband can feel respected, even as you try to encourage him, right? To do the things he's supposed to do his part, because you both are a teammate. And sometimes we have to ride on the strength of the other person. So you want to encourage him. And that's what I teach in my Joyful Marriage Quest, the 6 week biblical and evidence based coaching journey. I talk about this idea, how to communicate in that manner. And actually, I want to show you here, I wrote this book that addresses that as well, The Joyful Wife, how to better understand your husband, rekindle love, and deepen intimacy. And I talk about 7 connection skills of how to kind of do this where it works out smoothly. And reduces the fight and the conflict, how to make sure that he hears you. Because many times I can tell you how many husbands who feel as if they are invisible, they're not appreciated, and on it goes. But my book is available on Amazon. Just wanted to put that in there in case you have ever wondered if there are any resources that can help you in this manner. Now watch how she connects marriage survival to money. And then here is her advice. Now, I'm not, I want to say this, here is her bad advice. Please don't follow her, don't listen to her, but let's watch this together.
It is okay to leave if you said this situation does not serve me. You are not in a financial position where you can actually treat me the way I need to be treated. You are not serving my life. Okay? Period.
No, it's not okay to leave because of this. Okay. So in her mind, now finances are the make or break measure of marriage. Is that what she's saying? Now, I do understand that finances is pretty much, I think, the number one reason many relationships dissolve around finances. But you do also know that over 80% of divorces are initiated by wives. So I want to say to you, dear wife, don't let someone like this who has her own issues try to project that onto your relationship. You want to avoid people like this and surround yourself with those who have successful marriages, those who honor marriages, those who are willing to sacrifice for their spouse. See, by her logic, in Proverbs 31, charm is deceitful, beauty is gain. In her mind, it should read, if she had a chance to write this verse, she would say, charm is deceitful, beauty is vain, but a 401k is forever. That is how she probably think. Maybe she is one of those materialistic persons. And because her husband may not be able to give her what other husbands are giving to their wives, and she may be looking around and maybe she's envious. Maybe she's bitter. Maybe she's upset about something. All of the above could be true. But here's the truth: money comes and goes, but character, faith, and commitment last. So if money is the only reason you stay, the marriage has already bankrupt. Like I said before, there are times in our relationships where we had very little money. I mean, there are times when we actually wondered if we're going to be able to keep our home and our car because we just really we're at a very tight spot. But thank God, God came through time and time again for us, and in the miraculous way provided for us. But we were it was thinner than a paper margin our finances but God came through. So what if we just were led by this kind of mentality? Again, we would not be here married for 40 years today. I mean, of course, as of this recording. Now, finally, here's her big closing pitch, her closing argument. And in her mind, she's now going in for the kill. As you listen to here, she's truly, it's almost like she's wanting to like be so mad. And if you ever don't listen to her advice, this is what she had to say about you, dear wife. Listen to what she says.
Being his cook, being his cleaner, being his maid, being his built-in nanny pretty much is only helping him find somebody better, find somebody who respects themselves more. I'm telling you, if you go back to men who like aren't dating you, if they're dating somebody else and you ask, why did you keep going back to this woman? They will inevitably say, because she let me. Has nothing to do with love.
Where is she getting her knowledge from? I mean, like I said, oh yeah, of course, our experiences, but I can tell you where it's not coming from. It's not coming from another man, unless that man happened to be, like I said, her husband or her dad, and indirectly is informing her about this way. Maybe it's from her girlfriends who are divorced and are bitter and are men haters. Maybe it's from a group of those she's getting her or maybe it's social media. Don't forget that because social media have now become the Bible of marriage, it would seem. Everyone has an advice and an expert on marriage, and you ask them the question, how long have you been married? Some haven't even been married, and they want to give you advice about marriage. Some are struggling. They don't have they've been divorced two, three, four times, and they're going to be experts on marriage. Right, right. So, you know what's ironic? She just described what both spouses do for each other in healthy relationship, a healthy marriage. We serve one another. That's what she says when she talked about the idea of nannies and all, because you're serving one another. Who puts those labels on? You, dear wife. But we don't do that. My wife and I, she's not there being my nanny or my maid. And I'm not there being that way either. The landscaper. No, we are a team working to make our marriage work. That's what we do. That's what we do. We share the load. My wife makes meals sometimes, and she cooks most of the time, really. I do at times. I will do the very thing sometimes she does. That or vacuum mop the floor, do the laundry. It's not about being his maid when she does those things. Not about being my maid. It's not about me seeing her as a maid or a nanny. No, it's about being a partner. She's a partner to me and vice versa. That's what it's all about. Becoming one flesh, as the Bible says. For this reason, a man shall leave and cleave to his wife, and they become one flesh. They work together. Paul said in Galatians 5, verse 13, serve one another humbly in love. That is where pride and ego is set aside. And if you can't stomach the word serve, then marriage probably isn't for you. Because marriage is not for everyone. And apparently, I would say maybe for her, marriage is not for her. Because that attitude is not going to work. Which man is going to put up with that? Well, I guess I don't know her full story. And if you do know, I mean, I've seen this video on TikTok. I don't know her full story. Maybe there's other things that I'm missing out on. I'd love to hear from your thoughts about that or anything else I've said. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Here's the bottom line. This kind of advice tells women to leave instead of love, to abandon instead of build. But if you want a marriage that lasts, you can't buy into the bitterness, into the man hating of all you're hearing. God's design is clear: respect and love, sacrifice and service. That's the currency of marriage. So, dear wife, if you want to know how to reconnect with your husband without feeling like you're the only one trying, I want you to grab my free booklet, Reconnect, a quick guide for wives who feel like they're doing it all. And the link will be in the description below. But you'll also be placed on the wait list for the upcoming webinar and know more about this 6-week um, uh, Joyful Marriage Quest program that I also have. And if you're not yet subscribed, I want you to go and hit that subscribe button and the thumbs up button even right now. And let's push back against the noise together. Here's a question that I want to leave you with and love to hear your thoughts on. What do you think? Um, what do you think? Should a wife ever leave her husband just because he's going through hard times? Or do you believe marriage is about standing together even when it's tough? I'd love to hear your thoughts below in the comment section. But remember, let's keep it respectful. Let's have a civil conversation. Let's learn from each other. Let's grow together. Okay. With that said, I would love for you to watch this other video that's coming up right here. And please share this with at least one other person because I think they could also benefit from it as you are. So thank you for taking the time to watch, to listen. May God bless you and your marriage. And may you experience his peace and his love and his joy, both now and forever. God bless. Peace out. And I'll see you on the other video. God bless.